Hello, everyone. My name is Swata Bania, and I'm an assistant professor of rhetoric, professional, and technical writing at Virginia Tech University. In this video, I would like to give a brief overview of my project. This presentation is part of my dissertation project, which is entitled Comparative Study of Network Communities, Crisis Communication and Technology, Rhetoric of Disaster, Nepal Earthquake, and Hurricane Maria. However, in this presentation, I focus only on strengthening intercultural communication in disaster response, lessons from Nepal Earthquake and Hurricane Maria. Let me begin my presentation with a brief introduction. Situated in disaster-affected digitally networked societies, Nepal and Puerto Rico, this project presents a comparative analysis of assessment of intercultural communication of various network communities during the Nepal earthquake and Hurricane Maria. This project has two aspects: assessing the methods of intercultural communication used by communities during disaster, and developing intercultural competencies of both academic and non-academic sectors to address the future disaster. By assessing importance of intercultural communication during disaster, the project aims at theorizing the importance of emergent intercultural communication in creating disaster knowledge and assisting vulnerable communities, and seeking ways of strengthening intercultural learning and assessment in the context of disaster. The assessment of intercultural communication during a disaster in transnational context will help in planning future global network actions. In this presentation, I'll be discussing background of the disasters, my research questions, methods, results, and the implication of the project. Recorded as one of the biggest disasters nearly in a century, Nepal earthquake created chaos in 14 districts of Nepal by taking lives and creating a humanitarian crisis. The total damage caused by the Nepal earthquake is equivalent to $7 billion. Along with the massive destruction, the earthquake also brought global attention to Nepal. Immediately after the earthquake, the digital social wave was filled with information, pictures, and videos linking the outside global world. As a survivor of Nepal earthquake myself and a user of Twitter, I personally used Twitter to respond to disaster, as did my colleagues and friends. 2 years after the Nepal earthquake, in September 2017, Puerto Rico, along with some Caribbean islands, suffered through a destructive hurricane named Maria. According to a study conducted by Kishore et al., Maria caused an estimated $90 billion in damages, making it the third costliest tropical cyclone in the United States since 1900. The official death count of Puerto Rico from The official death count of the death in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria is 64. However, Kishore et al. Claimed that the death toll exceeds 4645, which is 70 times more than the official estimate. The hurricane created power outage for months in Puerto Rico and brought communication system to a halt. Like Nepal earthquake, communities in Puerto Rico as well as outside Puerto Rico, especially in the U.S. mainland, were involved in relief and rescue activities. From the social wave to the wider diaspora network in the United States, Puerto Ricans formed a variety of network communities to address the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. The purpose of this study is to assess the importance of intercultural communication during a disaster and to highlight the importance of conducting communications during disaster with intercultural learning as the main focus. To help prepare transnational communities that respond to disaster, the tools of intercultural communication can help in planning future global network actions. Towards meeting these goals, I started my project with the following questions. What were the intercultural communication practices that helped in shaping the rhetoric of disaster during the Nepal earthquake and Hurricane Maria? How can strengthening intercultural learning help in disaster response? For this project, I conducted qualitative research, interviews with people in Nepal and Puerto Rico. The participants of the project represented government, non-governmental organizations, media practitioners, community leaders, and people who emerged as activists during these two crises. My research question demanded in-depth experiences of the participants. For that, narrative inquiry was the best approach as it helped me gather stories and lived experiences of people who survived the Nepal earthquake and Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Since both of these spaces are marginalized, narrative inquiry became a way for me to study and honor their lives and their lived experience as a source of important knowledge and understanding. By gathering experiences of ordinary people who have been actively involved in relief and rescue during these two catastrophic events, I aimed at not only highlighting individual experiences, but also explore social, cultural, familial narratives within which individuals' experiences were and are constituted, shaped, expressed, and enacted. Using narrative inquiry approach allowed me and my participants to have safer space to have a conversation about our lived experiences. For the data analysis, I used NVivo, a qualitative data analysis software, for the purpose of analyzing my interview data. While analyzing data in this software, I took grounded theory approach of understanding and identifying intercultural interactions as well as communication in the interview data. The results: formation of transnational assemblages was successful via intercultural communication mediated through various digital technologies. Digital technologies mediated intercultural risk communication, leading to global philanthropic actions and engagements and partnerships. These communities, both virtual and real, work together to create multidisciplinary knowledge during disaster by interacting through various cultural barriers and in communications to disseminate information, to draw attention of stakeholders, to raise funds, and to perform relief and rescue operations. Similarly, as articulated by a lot of participants, various international volunteer organizations as well as donors did not necessarily have local knowledge or understanding. The context of disaster is different, and in this regard, valuing local culture, local people's knowledge, as well as their agency in disaster response is must. In order to provide proper disaster response, the disaster responders need to understand the intricacies of culture. For example, in the name of disaster response, sending supplies that people do not know how to use or do not have any uses wouldn't be helpful. The local culture in Nepal is very communal and people like to help each other. Similarly, in Puerto Rico, there are also closely knitted society. Both Nepal and Puerto Rico have religious community as well. In order to do disaster response, the boundaries of religion and local context should be valued. If community decides to help themselves, then their agency should be valued as well. Similarly, valuing local people's culture and agency will also help in foster quicker disaster response because they already know the communication channels and they know their locality as well. Likewise, the third result, the response for the Nepal earthquake and Hurricane Maria was global. In this context, various communities responsible for communicating with the public, it is important to take intercultural communication into consideration. Such consideration might be sending messages in multiple languages, involving local people in communicating such messages, involving local culture and showcasing the importance and respect for those culture will also be beneficial. The public during the crisis do play the role of an active audience who can talk back and highlight the discrepancies during a disaster and share their voices via social media platforms. Everyone involved in disaster response was communicating and performing various kinds of communications practices such as gathering data and information, taking pictures and posting them, curating videos and sharing them, or creating web pages for donations. In enhancing these practices, there is importance of sharing knowledge of intercultural communication as well as learning. Intercultural learning can provide knowledge on how to communicate by understanding their culture. So the assessment of intercultural communication in communicating crisis could help in robust global disaster response. Intercultural communication methodologies and pedagogies in teaching will help academic and non-academic sectors to prepare for the future disaster. So here are some publications and presentations I'm working on that came out of my dissertation project. I would sincerely like to thank Silmer at Purdue University for providing me grant to conduct this project. Without this grant, I wouldn't be able to travel to Nepal to gather my data. Thank you very much.